Imagine you're 300 feet below the surface of the Baltic Sea. Your sonar equipment suddenly goes haywire. Your screens flicker. Your compass spins wildly. And then, through the murky depths, your side-scan sonar reveals something that makes your heart skip a beat. A perfectly circular object, 200 feet across, sitting on the seafloor like nothing you've ever seen before. This isn't science fiction. This is exactly what happened to Swedish treasure hunters Peter Lindberg and Dennis Asberg in June 2011. And the image they captured? It looked so much like the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars that the internet exploded with speculation. But here's the question that's been haunting marine scientists, geologists, and explorers for over a decade. What exactly did they find down there? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial underwater discoveries of the 21st century. The Baltic Sea Anomaly is a 60-meter diameter circular rock-like formation on the floor of the northern Baltic Sea, at the center of the Bothnian Sea, discovered by Peter Lindberg, Dennis Asberg, and their Swedish OceanX diving team in June 2011. But what started as a treasure hunting expedition turned into something that would challenge everything we thought we knew about what lies beneath our seas. Before we get into the wild theories and scientific debates, let me ask you this. When was the last time a single sonar image sparked international headlines, scientific expeditions, and debates that are still raging today? Because that's exactly what happened when OceanX team released their discovery to the world. The Swedish-based OceanX described themselves as treasure hunters and salvage operators. Peter Lindberg and Dennis Asberg weren't looking for aliens or ancient artifacts that day in 2011. They were doing what they'd done for years, searching the Baltic Sea for valuable shipwrecks and lost cargo. We had been out for 9 days, and we were quite tired, and we were on our way back to port when their sonar picked up something extraordinary. They used a side-scan sonar and found something strange 91 meters below the surface of the water. But this wasn't just strange. It was unprecedented. The sonar image showed what appeared to be a circular structure with perfectly straight lines, angular formations, and what looked like a ramp leading up to it. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Have you ever seen sonar images of natural rock formations on the seafloor? They're typically irregular, chaotic, following the random patterns you'd expect from geological processes. But this object, sonar images taken by the OceanX team show a structure with straight lines and angular formations, unusual for a purely natural object. The initial measurements were staggering. The 60-meter-wide Baltic Sea Anomaly has a vast disk and is twice the size of a football field. To put that in perspective, we're talking about something roughly the size of 2 football fields sitting on the bottom of the Baltic Sea, 300 feet below the surface. But measurements were just the beginning. What happened next would fuel decades of speculation and scientific investigation. A year later, in 2012, the OceanX team returned with a full diving expedition. What they found during their underwater investigation would either debunk the mystery or make it even deeper. And honestly, it did both. Divers who have braved the Baltic's depths describe equipment malfunctions near the anomaly, further fueling speculation about its mysterious origins. Think about that for a moment. Professional divers, using state-of-the-art equipment, experiencing technical failures in the presence of this object. Cameras malfunctioning. Communication devices cutting out. Navigation equipment going haywire. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Equipment malfunctions underwater aren't exactly rare. The Baltic Sea is a challenging environment, cold, dark, with unpredictable currents. But the consistency of these reports from different expeditions using different equipment, that's what keeps scientists paying attention. The OceanX team was able to penetrate parts of the anomaly with the sonar. Rectangle corridors can be seen on the sonar scans. Corridors. Let that sink in. When geologists describe natural rock formations, they don't typically use architectural terms like corridors. They talk about fissures, caves, or weathering patterns. But the sonar data suggested something more organized. In a video screenshot of the inside of the anomaly, you can see a corner in one of the corridors. Corners. Right angles. In nature, perfect right angles are incredibly rare. Water erosion creates curves. Geological pressure creates cracks and splits, but rarely perfect geometric shapes. And then there were the holes. 2 holes at the top of the anomaly were discovered. Not random openings or natural caves, but what appeared to be precisely placed openings at the top. Here's where the scientific community stepped in to bring some much-needed analysis to the mystery. Because while the sonar images and diving reports were fascinating, what really matters in science is evidence. Physical evidence. Dr. Volker Bruchert, an associate professor of geology at Stockholm University, was brought in to analyze samples taken from the site. And what he found was both illuminating and, depending on your perspective, either reassuring or disappointing. Samples taken from the site and provided to Associate Professor of Geology Volker Bruchert at Stockholm University revealed that they were granites, gneisses, and sandstones, rock types you'd expect in a glacial basin like the Baltic Sea. So there it was. The samples were perfectly normal rocks. The kind of rocks you'd expect to find in the Baltic Sea, formed by the same glacial processes that shaped the entire region over the last ice age. But wait, there's always a but in these stories, isn't there? The strangest finding was a single piece of basaltic rock among the samples. Basalt, a volcanic rock that forms from rapidly cooling lava. In a region that hasn't seen volcanic activity for millions of years. Dr. Bruchert was pretty clear about his conclusions. What has been generously ignored by the OceanX team is that most of the samples they have brought up from the sea bottom are granites and gneisses and sandstones. From a geological standpoint, he was saying, there's nothing unusual here. But here's what I find fascinating about this whole debate. Science thrives on questions, right? On pushing boundaries and investigating anomalies. So why has this particular anomaly been so divisive in the scientific community? Part of the answer lies in how the discovery was presented. When the OceanX team released their sonar images, they didn't lead with geological analysis or peer-reviewed studies. They led with mystery, with speculation, with comparisons to science fiction spaceships. And honestly, I get why that rubbed some scientists the wrong way. In a field where credibility is everything, where every claim needs to be backed by rigorous analysis, leading with sensational speculation can undermine serious investigation. But here's the flip side of that argument. How many important discoveries throughout history started with someone noticing something that didn't fit the accepted pattern? How many breakthroughs began with an observation that seemed too strange to be true? Peter Lindberg, head of the Swedish underwater exploration group OceanX team, which located the object using side-scan sonar, credits Mother Nature. It is probably made by a biochemical process, as objects like this are common in the Baltic Sea, only they're never anywhere close to this size or with this level of geometric precision. Even Lindberg himself, the man who discovered the anomaly, acknowledges that it's likely natural. But he also points out something crucial. While similar formations exist in the Baltic Sea, none approach the size or apparent organization of this particular object. So let's talk about the theories. Because over the past decade, Everyone from marine biologists to ancient astronaut theorists has weighed in on what this object might be. Theory number 1. It's a natural geological formation created by glacial processes during the last ice age. The Baltic Sea was carved and shaped by massive glaciers that advanced and retreated over thousands of years. These glaciers could have dropped enormous boulders, created circular depressions, and left behind the kind of organized patterns we're seeing. The evidence supporting this theory? The rock samples match what you'd expect from glacial deposits. The location is consistent with known glacial activity. And similar, though smaller, formations exist throughout the region. Theory number 2. It's the remains of an ancient human structure. Peter Lindbergh of the OceanX team also claimed that the anomaly could be the remains of the lost city of Atlantis, a mythical city first mentioned by Plato. Now, before you roll your eyes, remember that the Baltic Sea was very different during the last ice age. Sea levels were hundreds of feet lower. What's now underwater was once dry land where human settlements could have existed. We know that sophisticated human civilizations existed in northern Europe during the period when this area would have been above water. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, with its massive stone circles and advanced construction, dates back over 11,000 years. If humans were building complex structures then, could they have built something in what's now the Baltic Sea? Visual. Sea level maps showing Baltic Sea during Ice Age. Göbekli Tepe comparison. The evidence for this theory is more circumstantial. The geometric patterns. The apparent architectural features. The organized layout that seems too precise to be purely natural. And then there's theory number 3, the one that gets all the headlines. It's extraterrestrial in origin. A crashed UFO, an alien base, or some kind of advanced technology that we don't understand. Now, I'll be honest with you. This is where I have to put on my scientific skepticism hat. Not because I think we're alone in the universe. The odds actually suggest otherwise. But because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so far, the evidence for an extraterrestrial origin is pretty thin. The rock samples are earthly. The formation, while unusual, isn't beyond the realm of natural geological processes, and the equipment malfunctions, while intriguing, could have mundane explanations. But here's what keeps this story interesting for me, and why I think it deserves serious scientific attention regardless of what it turns out to be. First, we're still learning about what lies beneath our seas. We've mapped less than 20% of the ocean floor in detail. Every year, marine archaeologists discover shipwrecks, geological formations, and underwater landscapes that surprise us. The Baltic Sea anomaly, whatever it is, represents the kind of systematic underwater exploration that's revealing how much we still don't know about our planet. Second, the technology being used to study this anomaly is pushing the boundaries of underwater investigation. High-resolution sonar mapping, underwater robotics, advanced diving techniques. All of this technology is being refined and improved through investigations like this one. And third, the international attention this discovery has generated has funding implications for marine science. When the public gets excited about underwater mysteries, it creates support for the kind of systematic exploration that leads to legitimate scientific discoveries. In July 2025, Dennis Asberg, co-founder of OceanX, known for discovering the Baltic Sea anomaly in 2011, announced a new, potentially groundbreaking discovery. Just this year, Dennis Asberg hinted at new findings that he describes as incredibly big and hard to accept. Whether this relates to the original anomaly or represents an entirely new discovery, it shows that serious underwater exploration in the Baltic Sea is ongoing. Now, let me ask you something. In an age where we can map distant galaxies and peer into the quantum realm, why should a circular formation on the bottom of the Baltic Sea capture our imagination so completely? I think it's because it represents something fundamental about human curiosity. We're explorers by nature. We see something unusual, something that doesn't fit our expectations, and we want to understand it. Whether it turns out to be a natural geological wonder, evidence of ancient human engineering, or something else entirely, the process of investigation teaches us about our world and ourselves. The Baltic Sea anomaly has sparked legitimate scientific research into glacial geology, underwater archaeology, and marine exploration techniques. It's brought international attention to the Baltic Sea as a region of scientific interest, and it's demonstrated how modern technology can be used to investigate underwater mysteries systematically. But perhaps most importantly, it's reminded us that our planet still holds surprises. In an era when it feels like everything has been discovered and catalogued, when Google Earth has mapped every surface feature and satellite imagery reveals the most remote locations, there's something thrilling about knowing that mysteries still exist beneath the waves. The current scientific consensus leans toward a natural explanation. A consensus of experts and scientists say that the image most likely shows a natural geological formation created by glacial processes. The rock samples support this conclusion. The location and composition are consistent with known geological activity in the region. But science isn't about consensus. It's about evidence. And the investigation of the Baltic Sea anomaly continues. New technology might reveal details that previous expeditions missed. Additional samples might provide different insights. Deeper analysis might uncover formation processes we don't currently understand. What fascinates me most about this story is how it illustrates the intersection between public curiosity and scientific investigation. The initial sensational coverage brought attention to the discovery. That attention brought resources for further investigation. Those investigations have produced legitimate scientific data, regardless of whether they've solved the mystery to everyone's satisfaction. And let's be honest, would this level of investigation have happened if the sonar image had shown a typical, irregular rock formation? Probably not. Sometimes it takes a little mystery, a little speculation, to drive the kind of thorough investigation that advances our understanding. OceanX team is a world-leading deep-sea exploration company dedicated to uncovering lost treasures, historical shipwrecks, and underwater anomalies. With cutting-edge technology and a relentless spirit of adventure, we search the depths of the world's oceans to reveal secrets hidden beneath the waves. The team continues their work, not just on the Baltic Sea anomaly, but on underwater exploration throughout the region. They've discovered shipwrecks, investigated other anomalies, and contributed to our understanding of Baltic Sea history and geology. So where does this leave us? After more than a decade of investigation, multiple expeditions, scientific analysis, and international debate, what have we learned about the Baltic Sea anomaly? We know it's real. The sonar images aren't artifacts or misreadings. There is definitely a large, circular formation on the bottom of the Baltic Sea. We know it's unusual. While similar formations exist in the region, none match the size and apparent geometric precision of this particular object. We know it's made of earthly materials. Rock samples are consistent with glacial deposits found throughout the Baltic Sea region. We know it continues to generate equipment malfunctions and navigation anomalies during diver visits, though the reasons for this remain unclear. And we know it's still being investigated. New expeditions, new technology, and new analysis continue to refine our understanding of what lies 300 feet below the surface. But here's what I think is the most important thing we've learned. our oceans still hold secrets worth investigating. Whether the Baltic Sea anomaly turns out to be a fascinating geological formation, evidence of ancient human activity, or something else entirely, the process of investigating it has advanced our capabilities and understanding. It's reminded us that systematic exploration, rigorous analysis, and healthy skepticism can coexist with curiosity and wonder. You don't have to choose between scientific rigor and a sense of mystery. The best investigations embrace both. Dennis Asberg is the founder and CEO of OceanX team, a company dedicated to deep-sea exploration, historical discoveries, and solving some of the ocean's greatest mysteries. With a lifelong passion for adventure, uncovering the unknown, and pushing the boundaries of exploration, Dennis has led numerous expeditions in search of shipwrecks, lost artifacts, and unexplained underwater anomalies. The story of the Baltic Sea anomaly is far from over. New technology continues to emerge. New expeditions continue to investigate. And new discoveries in underwater archaeology continue to surprise us with evidence of how much we still don't know about our planet's hidden history. So what do you think? Have we been looking at this mystery from the right angle? Or are there questions we should be asking that we haven't thought of yet? Is it possible that our current scientific understanding of glacial processes doesn't account for all the factors that could create such a precise, large-scale formation? Or should we be looking beyond geology entirely? The Baltic Sea keeps its secrets well. But piece by piece, expedition by expedition, we're learning to read the stories written in the seafloor sediment and stone. Whether those stories tell us about ancient ice, ancient humans, or something else entirely, the investigation continues. What mysteries do you think still lie waiting beneath our world's oceans? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales from under the sea. Because as long as there are unexplored depths and curious minds, there will always be more mysteries to investigate. The deep waters are calling, and the next discovery could be just one sonar ping away.